As the 2019 general election draws near, the Independent National Electoral Commission and relevant stakeholders are keen on ensuring free, fair and credible election. This summit, organized by the Transition Monitoring Group in partnership with Christian Aid Nigeria, is aimed at improving public confidence and active participation of citizens ahead of the 2019 general election. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu highlights efforts put in place by the Commission to ensure every eligible Nigerian participates in the election. According to him, the Commission is working hard to ensure all registered voters get their PVC before the 2019 general election.
9,089,465 Nigerians. We have received requests for transfer from 449,154 citizens, and we have also received requests for replacement of PVCs from 724,291 citizens. Now you can imagine 9 million Nigerians have been given the opportunity to register. If we hadn't bitten the bullet to say, let's try, irrespective of the constraints, 9 million Nigerians would not have been given the opportunity to register.
For participants at the summit, public confidence and participation is vital to achieving a successful 2019 general election.
Presidential and National Assembly election witnessed a turnout of 43.3%, a turnout percentage which signposts the fact that the 2019 general election could be faced with problem of voter apathy if efforts are not made to mobilize and sensitize voters to get involved in the key processes.
At its center of lack of public confidence in the entire process, as well as citizens exhibiting a lot of our political and passive nature, is as a result of our disbelief, or rather saying what some actually conceptualize as de-democratization of the country.
Women should be able to participate as candidates. Most times you see that in political parties we all come out as aspirants, and when it gets to the point of candidature, the women are not there.
With the over 70 million Nigerians already in INEC's register, it is expected that over 80 million Nigerians will participate in the forthcoming election.
Hello and welcome to the special edition of Africa Today. I am Esther Omokwariola. In today's episode, I will be speaking with Rotimi Paseda, a governorship aspirant for Ogun State in the 2019 election. Good to have you here on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start with your journey to politics. From your profile, I understand you're a native of Ogun State.
Absolutely.
Ijebu, Ojobolu, precisely.
Absolutely.
When last did you visit your hometown?
I don't visit. I live in my hometown. I moved back home permanently in 2015, just coming up to 2015, because although I'm frequently home, I'm well known in my community, in my family, but I thought to actually deliver what I intend to deliver, I need to be close to my people, closer to my people, and see what they actually experience, what they go through, how they live. That's the only way you can impact positively into their lives. So I live there, I don't visit. When I come to Lagos, I'm visiting Lagos. I live in Ogun, to be precise.
Now you say 2015 till now. Isn't that a short time to familiarize with the people of Ogun State?
Absolutely not. It's not about familiarizing, it's getting to know better. I'm already familiarized with my people because that's where I'm from, that's where my mother's from, that's where my great-grandfather is from. We're part of the Ramuja ruling house, so we're royalty there. So we are part of the family. I'm known there, even before election, my family is known there.
Now in 2015 you had to go at the top job for the governor of Ogun State, and you didn't seem to get that ticket. 2019, you are also gone in for some top job. What makes you confident that you will get the people's mandate?
I've always told people that nothing happens before its time. Sometimes you have to go through what is called tutelage. But as far as the 2015 election is concerned, I saw it as a winner. I may not be sitting in that governor's office on that seat at the moment, but at that particular time during that election, I actually believe that I actually won in all aspects of the definition of winning. First of all,
right.
I came into contesting nearly 3 months to the election, and I came third. I am one of the most popular candidates. Even when my result was being declared at INEC, it's a common knowledge. When they mentioned the first runner-up, the winner, and they mentioned the second runner-up, and they mentioned my name, the ovation in that hall was like I won the governorship. And all the media guys were shocked, because it was like, you know, if I wasn't listening, if you weren't listening to the numbers and the result, you would have thought I had won the election. And that is something that happened 3 months before the election. People started running this race 2, 3, 4, 5 years before I got in. And as far as I'm concerned, that is a great achievement. The second thing is, yes, I'm not sitting in that chair, but consistently, I've used the 2015 experience to gather and learn how not to do it.
And what is that?
And that includes, if you really truly want to govern, you want to govern well, you should not worry about your tricky methods of getting into office. If someone or people can like and want you for who you are 3 months before the election, then surely, if you continue in that way, they will like and want you to actually sit in that office.
Okay, so now but let's look at what you have in store for the people of Ogun State, because some would say it is the usual we get to hear almost on a daily basis, where we see politicians saying, I want to run for the top job and I promise you heaven and earth, for instance. What are you bringing to the table different from what we've seen in past elections?
First of all, I cannot promise heaven. Heaven is not mine to promise.
Well, but I can it's a way to put it.
I can promise Ogun State. I can promise the earthly part of Ogun State that it will be different. I'll tell you why. Most of the people that have already governed, they did well. It's not that they haven't done well, but I believe that what they have done to a larger extent is misplaced priority. We shouldn't run before we walk. We need to walk and master the art of walking first as a state before we start running. We are running to be like London. We are running to be like the US. We look at aesthetics. We look at facade. But the real issue, the people, is the last. We put it to the burner. We don't even think of it. Let me tell you, one of the greatest disaster that is waiting to happen now in our country as a whole, let alone not even mention Ogun State, and people are oblivious to it. But when it triggers, we're all going to suffer for it, is what we call brain drain.
All right. Now let's look at, still on this matter of governance, you know, a huge number of politicians in our country today depend on more or less godfathers.
Yes.
To advance to the next stage, as it were. I'll be more direct. Do you have any godfather?
Yes, my God in heaven. It's the only godfather anybody needs, because those of the earthly godfathers don't even know what's going to happen to them tomorrow, let alone determine what will happen to me. Like I said, my life is not in anybody's hands. It's in God's hands. And if He says I will be, no man or woman can stop it. That's just it. I'm over 50. So I'm talking from experience. Nobody, I didn't get to where I got to through somebody saying I'm your godfather. No. I got to where I got to because Almighty God decides to bless me, decides to get me there against all odds. So why should I, at this time of my life, over 50, hey, where I'm going is nearer where I'm coming from. Why would I now depend on God for that? Would a godfather stop himself from being from dying when the time is up? So I depend on a godfather for 2019.
So if you get into politics, you wouldn't, say, okay, I have campaigned with all this amount of money for my election. I need to get this. I need to recoup what I have spent, because that's usually the game.
That means you're not a Christian asking me that question, because if
But we don't have Christians. Even those who parade themselves as Christians don't practice what the religion says.
I'm talking about myself, not somebody else. I'm saying that you asking me that question means that you're not a Christian, because you know fully well that if that is the path that has been chosen for you, all that you need to get there will be provided. Look, what makes you sit in your car and two people walk by you begging for alms? You see the first one, you just don't feel like doing anything. Then the next one comes to, let me give you 15 naira. Why? Something got into you that determined that you must do that 15 naira for that next person. The same way as you can live and you can work with a multi-billionaire as a clerk, as a PA or whatever, and it never impacts in your life. Your life remains the same. Yet again, he would take somebody else that has not done anything for them and empower. You see, that's how God works. With regards to how much or what I would need to get into the office, it's not my worry. It's not my business. I have the little I can afford set aside for the journey. Any shortfall is not my business to worry about.
So who funds your campaign?
I fund my campaign.
From what source?
From my income. I have businesses abroad.
What kind of businesses?
I have an engineering company. I'm the very, very first male to get involved in what we call daycare in the UK. I set up the very, very first daycare service that a man could set up in the UK. I've had it and it became a chain for about 25 years. My wife runs it. So I have consistently developed and grown in business.
And that is enough for you to pursue your career?
No, it's not, but that's one of the things I do. I also have other business interests as well. So I have been advocating that if you want to come into policy, come clean, right? There's nothing you cannot check. You Google my name, all my business interests will show up. My manufacturing firm, my school business, my recruitment interest, everything will come up because it's the nature of the world now. So it is not enough to pursue what politics dictates now in Ogun State, because people are saying they have limitless fund to spend as long as they get what they want. I have not got limitless fund, but the little I have will be blessed, and that unlimited fund will be put to nothing. It has happened before, and it will happen again, as long as you mean well and you're not desperate.
Right, you're still on to Africa Today. We'll take a short break and be back with more discussions with Rotimi Paseda. Welcome back. You're still on to Africa Today, and on this special edition, I have Rotimi Paseda, a governorship aspirant for 2019 elections in Ogun State. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Still on the show. Now, we're looking at sustaining the economy of Ogun State. President Muhammadu Buhari has talked about diversifying the economy away from oil, which we have depended for a long period of time. And he's looking at agriculture, which seems to be a viable venture to go in at this period. Ogun State seems to have a huge reserve of forest, which is suitable for livestock. Now, how do you intend to maximize this natural abundance for the good of the state?
Forest is not the only thing we got. We have a lot. I've always been telling my followers and people that we should be looking at Ogun State as if it were a country on its own, that can stand on its own, make its own decision, and flow with it without depending on the center. Lagos State has a 35 to 40 years blueprint, development plan. When people say Ambode is doing well, is doing good, I laugh. Ambode is doing nothing. Ambode is running with the blueprint that he has met. When he leaves, the next governor, which is where Lagos State has got it perfect. And because the people in the helms of affair believe in continuity, they're not paying lip service to continuity in Lagos State. They're actually delivering on continuity. So the man goes, you have done A, B, C. you've left. The next governor comes, picks it up from your C, D, E, F. He goes. Another one comes and picks up from the F. That is why we can see sustainable, steady development, visible, perfect. Lagos is ready to behave and to start saying they want to be like London. They're ready. Ogun State is not ready at all. No other state is ready. We're still trying to walk and we want to run.
So what can we do to, take us to that path where Lagos seems to enjoy?
But what we need to do, what I intend to do, is practice what I preach. I say I don't see political parties. I see individuals.
Right.
What I intend to do is to have from the Oshoba government, he was the governor of Ogun State, Oshoba, Binge Daniel, Amosu, and myself. We need to decide together, jointly, what happens in the state. The fact there is that the three that would have come before me, they have the benefit of hindsight. They have done it. They know, even if they wanted to see people, they know where they failed and they know what they should have done differently. But with somebody of my exposure, and I relate with all of them, like I'm saying, I relate with all of them. Even now, I send messages and I relate. People, somebody like me would sit down and ask for their help. I will pick up what Oshoba has done, what he had in stock or planned to do that he was not able to finish. The same thing with OGD, same thing with Amosu. We'll collectively put it together and come up with a blueprint. That blueprint, I will ensure that I enact. It will be passed as the blueprint of my state. So by the time I'm doing 4 to 8 years and I'm gone, the person coming do not have any other option than to fly with that blueprint.
Can you give us a bit of the snippet of what you're to expect in terms of your blueprint? Because we want to know exactly what you have in store. Is it in education?
Well,
is it free education?
Education is a
healthcare?
priority for
what
me.
exactly you have in store?
Well, education. I believe education needs to be free, and that's what I'm going to deliver. I will ensure that our kids, regardless of your background or your family affluence, you have access to the same standard of education. Of course, I'm going to have to improve the standard, but education will be free in Ogun State. That's my commitment. That's my own personal commitment with my God.
But how do you intend to fund that? Because that is always the issue.
It is very easy. People say it's not possible, but look, it's a matter of doing what I call financial re-engineering. The budget is about the governor's interest. That's how it's been run. Although it's wrong, if we had a blueprint, it would not be the governor's interest. It would be what is there that I have to work with when I come in. Assuming Amosu had done one, and it's the law, I don't have a choice than to flow with it. And so I intend to also change the face of our medical care. We are waiting, we are sitting at the time bomb. The policymakers don't understand because they don't experience what the issue is in terms of health. Some smart technocrats sit somewhere and come up with these beautiful, nice-looking ideas for policy that don't work because they don't actually have a first-hand experience of the process. They need to actually fall sick and go to the general hospital themselves without the entourage and actually see what people go through to register and all that. And then go through
yourself?
Of course I've done it. That's what I do. I don't go to private hospitals, except of course, if the condition is such that, because of course I really don't want to die. So of course, if the condition is such that the equipment and the facility that is available at the popular hospital, so I will call it populist hospital, it's not available, then of course I will seek where the expertise are. But what I intend to do is, because I've had a first-hand experience of being treated locally, I went myself, I registered, I paid to get the card, I queued to see a normal doctor like everybody else. Of course, I wasn't wearing my usual white, so nobody would who identify me, because I know the minute they know who you are, they change the entire care. they push it up and make you more comfortable. So I waited. I was sick. I had to wait for almost 30 minutes or more before I could sit. And that was early hours of the morning. I wasn't feeling too good. So I decided I need to go and see a doctor. So I got into the car. I went to the hospital and I stayed there. Early hours of the morning, there was still queue. There was only one doctor on duty.
So what would you do differently if you become the governor?
First of all, my priority is to ignore the structure of the building, lay more emphasis on the content and the service delivery. What the people do now, they say healthcare, they're going to, revamp the health services. What they're talking about is building, not the service. Nicer building, this, that, and the other, but the actual content. The doctors that would be there, they're not taken care of well. It's not going to work. The equipment are not being well serviced. What I intend to do is to lead by example, which means if I am sick, wherever I am in Ogun State, whether I'm in the central, in the east, or in the west, wherever I am, I'm going to that general hospital in that area for treatment.
You wouldn't travel like most of our politicians?
No, I would not. I've had the opportunity to travel in the last few months for medical. I did it here.
All right. Finally, before we let you go, now Ogun State has a lot of tourism attractions. What are your plans for tourism in the state?
We have a commissioner who is responsible for tourism, and I think he needs to be fired. To start with, Ogun State has huge tourist opportunities. We have international tourism. We have local tourism. The opportunities for local tourism is so huge. What we're doing is we're not a tourist nation. We don't. For us, going on holiday is like going to visit your family. That's a holiday. We don't typically just get up and go to an unknown destination, which is what tourism is all about. But in Ogun State, we have so many we have the opportunities. I'm going to give it a lot of consideration. First, we have past heroes that have been forgotten, that our kids of nowadays don't even know who they are. That is my first point of contact. I need to bring those back into limelight, create some sort of educational tourism to attract and improve the awareness of our kids. But in terms of interstate tourism, it goes a long way because, like I said, we're not a nation of tourists. Visiting friends and family is a type of tourism, but that is the type of tourism that we know. You go from Lagos, you go to Onitsha. You're not necessarily going there to see the views or whatever. You're going there to see your relatives. So if there's something else that's there that attracts your attention, we as a government needs to expose that and encourage it. And you can't do that at all without solving the issue of security. That's the very first point of call. So we don't need to be jumping the bandwagon. Yes, we know that we can earn some revenue, local revenue, to improve the lives of our people locally. The one that will sell the gala at the tourist center. Yes, but before you start jumping into investing heavily into tourism, you must invest into the thing that will facilitate a safe and sequential type of tourism that we need, which is security. You don't want to go to a place and say you want to go to the mountains and you get robbed. No, you don't want to go to Olumo Rock in Abeokuta in the evening when it's cool. In the afternoon, it's impossible, it's too hot. You don't want to go all that way up there because it's too hot. But in the mornings and the evenings, so let's take in the evenings, you think the area boys will not let you rest. You think they're going to rob you. You see, those are the issues. So once we settle that, even Lagos is not even talking about tourism per se now. They're taking it in phases. It is when they control safety and security that they can blow up their tourism. Because then it will be sustainable and it will be accessible and people are more likely to engage in the business of tourism.
Thank you very much, Rotimi Paseda, for your insights on the program Africa Today. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, that's about it on Africa Today at this time. I'm Esther Omopariola. Bye for now.